Zevachim, Daf Yudches Amud Aleph, we're starting from the fourth line from the top, Ashkechan. We had learned about Amechus Begadim. From where do we know that if he does the Aveda, Amechus Begadim, it's possible Avedas? Rabbi Yochanan said, in the name of Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon, because it says, V'chakar ta'ism avneit, arno vanav, v'chavash lahem, v'chavash lahem, kunal chukul Yisraelam. It tells us that only in the time when the Kahanim are wearing the Begadim, then they are considered as Kahanim in Aveda, but without Bigdei Kehuna, they're considered as Zarim, and therefore, if they did the Aveda without Mechus Begadim, the Aveda will be passed like a Zar. But we learn it out from Shtuya Yayim with Gzeira Shavav, like the Braisa brings down, and we know Shtuya Yayim, some kind that drinks wine, it says that his Aved is going to be possible because it says Yaim Sheikha al Teisht that when he drinks wine, he cannot serve in Kodesh, B'Shikrus, being Shikr. And it says the word Chukah by Shtuya Yayin, and it says also by Mechus Begadim the Lashon V'Hais Lahem Chukas V'Hais Lahem Kuna L'Chukas Heilam by the Mechus Begadim, and we make Gzeira Shabbat just like Shtuya Yayin is possible to do the Aveda, so too the Mechus Begadim is possible to do the Aveda. In fact, the Gemara, so why did I need the first pasuk to teach us the pasuk of V'chagar Teismav? Why do I need that pasuk if I learn it out from Gzeira Shabbat from Shtuya Yayin that Mechus Begadim is possible Aveda? Says Gemara, if I would have learned out from Dafkif and Shtuya Yayin, I would have said only by such a Aveda of a Zar that he would be Chai Misa. For instance, the specific Avedas of Zrika, the spraying, and the Nischamayim, these Avedas would cause that could bring to Misa. That's the type of Aveda. If he was Mechus Begadim, that will pass the Aveda. But Aveda that the Zar wouldn't be Chai Misa for if it wasn't any of these vital Avedas for the carbon. I would have thought that even as a Mechus Begadim he could serve. That's why we needed the Pasik plus the Gzeira Shavah. Because the Gzeira Shavah, if you're learning out from Shtuya Yayin, by the Lashon Shtuya Yayin, it says in the pasuk B'Vayachem, it says V'Shech al Teish B'Vayach El Me'omed V'Leisavusu. That means if you don't come with wine in your system into the Me'od, then you won't die. But if you do, you will die. So you're talking about Aveda that brings to Misa, and only specific Avedas that bring to Misa versus. So, versus Aveda that wouldn't bring to Misa, I would have thought Mechus Begadim, Kohen being a Mechus Begadim, on those Avedas he could serve, even though he's Mechus Begadim. That's why I needed side the pasuk inside the Gzeira Shavah. Says Gemara, we only find that Mechus Begadim could do any Aveda that he does. Well, Ashkechan, I'll say it inside now, the fourth line. Ashkechan Mechus Begadim. We find a makar for the Aveda will be puzzle in any type of Aveda, even the Aveda that will not bring to Misa. Shtuya Yayin Menalan. But one who drinks wine, how do we know that it's Mechal all Avedas, even such Avedas that don't bring to Misa? Says, you want to ask you Chukah Mechus Begadim. We learn it out with a Gzeira Shavah from Mechus Begadim, just like Mechus Begadim will pass the Aveda even on such Avedas that will not bring to Misa. So too Shtuya Yayin. In fact, Gemara, how do you learn out from Chukah Vatana? Will have the Bain Kanasavla the Tana of the Braisa learned out that the Chil Aveda that the Aveda of Shtuya Yayin is going to be possible from the words Allah have the Bain Achel. He doesn't learn it out from the Gzeira Shavah from Mechus Begadim. And you want to become the Leiken before they established the Gzeira Shavah of Chukah. That's when he learned it out from Shtuya Yayin is going to be Pasal Aveda from Havdil. But once they established the Gzeira Shavah, we learn out from the Gzeira Shavah. In fact, you want to really? But we learned the Fedish that which one do we learn from which? We learn out Mechus Begadim, Hudaka Yaliv, from Shtuya Yayin. Mechus Begadim is the one that you learn out from Shtuya Yayin. And you're saying, no, Shtuya Yayin, you learn out from Mechus Begadim that all types of Avedis is going to be possible. So how could you say that you're learning out Shtuya Yayin from Mechus Begadim? If you said, the Gemara said you learn out Mechus Begadim from Shtuya Yayin, and the Gemara Hakikam, this is how you have to learn the Peshat. But Dayin Shaloi, Nechalik Bein Mechus Begadim L'Shtuya Yayin Shaloi Rachetz Yadayim Raglayim. How do we know that there's no differentiation? Meaning, just like Mechus Begadim is Mechalel, passes all the Avedis, even those that will not bring to Misa, so to Shtuya Yayin, somebody who drinks a kohen who drinks wine, or he didn't wash his hands and feet from the kiyar. How do we know if they serve any type of Aveda, the Aveda will be possible? We learn out chukah from where? From a chus v'gadim. Just like a chus v'gadim passes all types of Aveda, so too Shtuya Yayin, and the one who didn't, and Ein Arachas Yadayim Raglayim from the kiyar, if he did the Aveda, is going to be puzzle. So according to the Maskana, we learn out the Gzei Shabbat two ways. We learn out Mechus Begadim from Shtuya Yayin, and Shtuya Yayin you learn out from Mechus Begadim. That's what we use the Gzei Shabbat for. If so, Vetach the Shaila, so why do I need the pasuk of Lahavda Ben Kedesh by Shtuya Yayin? What do I need that pasuk for? If we're learning it out from the Gzei Shabbat, that Shtuya Yayin is going to be puzzle. Okay, who does the Avidah while he has wine and he has drank wine, he's going to be puzzled from doing the Avidah from the Gzei Shabbat. So why do I need the pasuk Lahavda Ben Kedesh Ben Achel for Shtuya Yayin that tells the Avidah is going to be puzzled? Says Gemara, no. It's like Rav. It's for a different drasha, like Rav. The Rav would not have his interpreter with him from the time that he ate the Suda, the first day of Yom Tov, till the next morning, he would not say any drashes. Mishum l'shikrus, because once he went through the Suda, he had drank wine. And just like going into the Beis HaMikdash was forbidden for a kohen to go into the Yomed with wine and with drinking wine, so too, he learns out that in the time when you're saying a dasha, which is similar, pasking halacha from his dasha, he withheld from doing it till the wine dissipated, till the shikrus of the wine dissipated. In fact, the Gemara, going back to before, does the chilul of avodah mechus begadim, the pasling avodah with somebody who was missing, with a kohen who was missing the begadim, do we learn it out from the pasuk from Ma'islam Kona, Mahasam Nafkev? Do we learn it? We learn it from there. We learn it out from a different pasuk, like we learned in the Brisa. It says, "V'nos b'nei Aaron HaKohen, Eishal Mizbeah," that the b'nei Aaron HaKohen should place on the Mizbeah, on the fire of the Mizbeah, the meaning the carbon. The word Kohen is extra because, of course, Aaron was a Kohen. Why do you have to say the word Kohen? Rather, it comes to teach us only when he's lavish with the Shmeina Begadim, then it's Kashal Aveda. Limina Kohen Gadol Shalavish Big the Kohen Hedget Ve'avat Aveda Psula, to tell us if he was Mechus Begadim, meaning the Kohen Gadol was not wearing all his Shmeina Begadim, he was wearing only the Begadim like a Kohen Hedget, that his Aveda will be puzzle. So we have already a pasuk here. The Braisa brought this pasuk of Anas Bnei Aaron Kohen to tell us Mechus Begadim is puzzle. After the Gemara, if we would have learned the Chalaveda only from Vahislem Kahuna, so then Havamina, I would have thought to say, Hanimili, what would these words said? Bechus Begadim, passes the Aveda the Me'akva Kapara. Only such Aveda that holds back Kapara. That if you don't have, of course, Shchita, if you don't have Zika, that's Me'akva the Kapara. Aveda Loi Me'akva Kapara Loi. But I would have thought if it's such a Aveda that doesn't hold back the kapara, so I would have thought he could even serve as a mechus begadim. That's why we needed the pasuk, the extra pasuk to tell us that even a Aveda that's not knocked the kapara, mechus begadim will pass the Aveda. Do we learn from these psukim before, either from Vahislam Kahuna or from the pasuk of Nas B'nei Aaron HaKohen, Mahasam Nafka. We learn out from Arch B'nei Aaron HaKohanim as Anesachim that the B'nei Aaron HaKohanim should prepare the piece of the carbon, and the HaKohanim is extra because of course the B'nei Aaron were Kohanim. So only the Pasuk come to teach us that the B'nei Aaron, meaning the B'nei Aaron who were Hedyotim, which were called Kohanim, are only going to be kosher in the Aveda B'Kehuna when they're wearing the four begadim of Kehuna. Mekan, here we learn out the Kohen Shehedjet Shalovash, speaking the Kohen Gadol, he's coming to teach us that if a Kohen Hedjet put on the more than the begadim that he normally wears, he wore the Kohen Gadol's begadim, the Shmeina begadim. He's come to teach us that if even though he had his four begadim on, within the 8 begadim, it's going to be puzzle. So if I would have had only the previous 2 psukim, I would have thought that a kohen that doesn't have the big kahuna is like a zar hanimili chisur, only if he's missing begadim. But if he added more begadim, loy, I would have thought his avodah wouldn't be puzzle. Kamashmalan. That's why we have this last pasuk to teach us that even if a kohen hadjid added begadim, the big day kuna gedela, he's not considered as a kohen at that time. He's considered as a zar, and therefore his avodah is going to be puzzled. So we learn out from these 3 psukim whether he's missing begadim for the big day kuna, or whether he's wearing more begadim that he's allotted to wear. His avodah is going to be puzzled. If the begadim were too long and they were slapping on the floor, or they were too short and they were hanging in the air, if they were old and worn out, and the kohen wore these served avedasai, did the aveda kshed, it's still going to be kosher. Lavash shnei mechnasayim, if he put on 2 pairs of pants, shnei avneitim, 2 gartla chisa achas, or he's missing one of the big kahuna, or yita achas, or he added on the big kahuna, or al makas basa, or he was wearing like a band-aid or something like. In those times it was like a plaster over a wound. Tachas big there under the baguette. Or the big garden were metushtashim, were dirty with mud. Or torn. And he did David. Popsula, it's going to be puzzled. If the big kahuna were Mirushalim too long, and they were slapping on the ground, shading that kosher. Salakim, if they're too short, them psulin, they're going to be puzzled. In fact, we learned in the Brais Salakim shaded that if it's too short, it's kosher. And it's not a kosher. Kan, in the Brais that says that that are short are kosher shesilkan. That he tucked the long part of the beged under his gartel, so then it's kosher. Kan, because really the kohen was wearing the right length of the begadim, and therefore it's kosher. Kan, and then where it said Mislakim, it's possible the last one you cut it from the klal that it never had the right share, right amount of cloth to cover the kohen. So therefore, since it's naturally short, therefore it's possible. Rabbi says, whether it's the long or short begadim, even without the gartel, psulim, it's going to be, meaning, not even, without the gartel, it's psulim, it's going to be puzzle. So, according to Rav, even if the begadim were shortened through the gartel, it's also going to be puzzle. If they were shortened through the gartel, it's going to be puzzle. Rav Huna was like invited to the place Agiza. So the son of the host is the contradiction. Did Shmuel say that the long garden kosher was lakim sulin, and the short ones are puzzle. He says the Fedish, if it's short, it's kosher. He says, leave up this state of the Bryce. It's not a kasha. Because Shnuya, we already answered. Shanya, we already answered that you're mechalik between the short, if mitzad the gatel, then it's kasha. Meaning, if it was tucked under a gatel, it's going to be kasha. But if it was naturally short, it's going to be puzzle. That's how he answered the stira. Ella, if you want to ask a stira, let have kasha. It's a kasha because I've said that even the long begadim are puzzle. And in the Bryce it says, Merushalim is ksherim. Chitem, and if you want to answer the kasha, in what case did he say Merushalim is going to be kosher? For instance, Musalakim, that he tucked till he tucked it till the right size of the measurement of the kain. Al yedei avnei, that he tucked it under the gartel. And the avnei is kemeges ogis, as if whatever's tucked under the gartel is already, so that part of the cloth is considered as cut. So now he's wearing the right midah, and therefore it's going to be kasha. Elofek, one of Salakim kasha, because I've said begadim Salakim, short begadim apostle, and the Bryce it says it's kasha. So till now you were able to answer the Shita Rav that begadim Misulakim like Rabbi Bachama, according to the Shita Shmuel, that if it's whatever it's naturally tucked under the gartel, is kasha because it really does have enough cloth to cover the right size. And Misulakim that we said is possible is talking about is naturally cut off. But now that Rav says even if it's Merushalim, if it's under the avnei, if it's too short, it's considered as cut. So you can't give that answer. Rav learned v'negeya to the begadim that were long and begadim Musulakim as one case, and this is how he explains it. Merushalim, if it's too long, shesilkan al yedei avnei, that he tucked it under the gartel to make it to the right measurement of the kohen kshenim, then it's kasha. So you find, according to this Brisa, the Brisa wasn't talking at all about the short begadim. And this that the Brisa was machshem Musulakim is not a case on its own. You have to read the Hemshech. Musulakim to the case of Merushalim, that means that he fixed the long baggage that it should fit the right measurement of the kohen through tucking it under the avnei. That's what he meant it was kasher. Rabbi Yirmiyah had said Merushalim shaloi silkan, the long begadim that he didn't tuck it into the avnei to make it to the right midah. Tanai is a machlekes of Tanaya. The pasuk says b'negeya to the mitzvahs of tzitzis gedilim ta'asalach al abba kamfes ksuscha, on the four corners you shall cover. So the word abba is coming to exclude that you're not mechuyt to put tzitzis only on a beged that has four corners, not a beged that has three corners. A beged ragel is four corners, which is rounded on one side. Or should we say, Einai? No. It means a baguette of three corners is also chayiv tzitzis. Ella, the arba is coming to exclude v'loi chamesh. Not if it's five corners. He says you can't say so. Because when it says in the pasuk, in the hemshech of the pasuk, Ashet chasaba, it's mashma, he's coming to include something. Hare, what is he including? Bailas chamish. He's coming to include a tzitzis that has five corners to be mechivan tzitzis. Hamani mekayim abba. So abba, which is a miyud, has to be going abba leishalish because the chasa already included that a beged that has five corners is chayvan tzitzis. What makes you include a baguette of five corners that should be chayv tzitzis u'laheitzi by the shalish, and to exclude from 4 that not 3. Mabani bail is chamish. It's everything. Mabani bail is chamish. Is b'chal chamish abba. The reason why I'm including by 5, because in 5 there's 4. And I exclude shalish because in shalish there's no 4. In 3 there's no 4. Tanya, we learned another brayso when the pasuk says al abba kamfes ksuscha. So we learn out arba v'lei shalish, arba v'lei chamesh, that the beggar is not going to be chayiv tzitzis till there's dafka 4 corners, not more, meaning 5 corners, and not less if 3 corners. Either one, if it's more or less, it's not going to be chayiv tzitzis. So Yimya wants to say, "My lahab hakamiflegi." Should we say that the machliks of the 2 braises is totally in this machlik is the masava yosikimandi sidami, that anything that's added, it's as if it's there, and we don't say it's not there. We say it's there. So therefore, when it's 3, it's part of tzitzis because it doesn't have 4. Okay, but 5. Even though it's not called 4, but in the 4, you don't say that, in the 5, you don't say there's no 4, there's 4 also. And one Tana says that we look at it as if it's not there, and therefore, Bailas Chamish Betzitzis is as if there's only 4. I'm sorry, I read it wrong before. Again, the first Tana holds Yosef Kimandi Sidame. Anything that's more, it's as if it's there. And just like 3 is going to be potter because there isn't 4, so too 5 is going to be potter because it's not called 4, because the 5th one is there. We don't say it's 4, we say it's 5, and therefore it's potter. And one holds that the 5th one is as if it's not there. And since the 5th corner, it's as if the 5th corner is not there. When it's more than it's supposed to be, we say it's as if it's not there. So therefore, it's as if it's not there. Therefore, it has a din as 4. And that's why it will be chayv tzitzis. And that's how we're going to learn the machlekes b'negeya to the length of the baguette. That meaning that the avodah is possible if the begadim is too long, and the other Tana holds that the too long is as if it's not there, and therefore it's not called too long, and therefore and just like you don't count the 5th corner to part it from tzitzis, now you're going to say it's going to be chayiv with tzitzis. So too here, when it's too long, it's still going to be considered as kosher for the avodah, because the extra is not there. Says the Gemara loy. We're not looking to say the machlekes between the 2 braises are totally the machlekes by tzitzis. The kol yama commanded yisidami really negate to the big day kilunam that are long. Everybody holds it has a din like it's too long and it's puzzle. The shiny hacha, and over here by the tzitzis is different. The Rabbi Achmana, because the Torah was mamash at the chasaba. Therefore, even though it's 5, it's not considered as 4. Nevertheless, he's chayv tzitzis because the Torah was mama with ashet chasaba that should be chayv tzitzis. Vidach. And what about the Tana that says tzitzis that has 5 corners is potter? He says hi ashet chasaba my. What does he do with that riboy of ashet chasaba? And the one he needs it for a different din. When they get to wearing tzitzis, it says orisim oisei. So from here we learn out there's no chiyuv with tzitzis only when you're able to see it. Prat l'chsus laila, except if it's a night garment, you're not chayiv. Or perhaps einay ella prat l'chsus suma. Maybe I should say it comes to exclude the clothing of a blind person. Says Gemara, Kishoy Mashet Chasaba, which is a mashmois to include that Eksus Suma Amor. Eksus of a blind person was already included to be Mechoyim and Tzitzis from the extra words Ashet Chasaba. So what does Isamaisa come to exclude? Prat Eksus Laila comes to exclude a night garment that you're not going to be Mechoyim and Tzitzis. In fact, what made you include the garment of a blind person and exclude the garment of a night garment that is not going to be chayv and tzitzis, but a ksus of a suma will? Let's include the ksusuma that even though it's not, and for the Gemara, no, you cannot exclude ksusuma from a garment of a blind person to be part of him tzitzis. Mirabba Niksusuma have to include from Ashet Chasaba that the garment of a blind person is mechuyev tzitzis, because sheyesh namidiyah etzel acherim mitzad urisim cannot be excluded because others could see it. That's not seen by anybody, even by others. Etzel acherim either. The Hidach says, what about the other Tana? Nafkele, he learned about, what does he learn out? That Suma is Mechuyev and Tzitzis. I'm sorry, that the Gemara explains now, from where does the Tana of the first Braisa learn out? What does he learn out from Ashet Chasaba? He learns out to include 5 corners. How does he know Ksusama is going to be Chayv Tzitzis? So he says Nafkele Ma'asher. He learns it out from this that it says Asher Chasaba. Ve'idach, the one the Tana the Patis 5 tzitzis. What does he do with the word Asher? And everything. He doesn't dash in the word Asher. It says by the big Yehuda that was made bad from linen. Shehir Shabutz, it has to be from linen. Bad Shehei Chadashim. A bad comes to tell us that it has to be new. Bad Shehei Shezurim. The bad is coming to tell us that it has to be woven and from many threads. Bad Shehei Chut and Kaf Shisha. That has to be, each string has to be woven from the 6 threads. Bad is mashmos that the kohen has to wear that in itself. Shaloi Yilbash. He shouldn't wear any other begadim shall chayil imahem. He shouldn't wear a big dechel with the bad. It has to be alone, the bad, the linen. So all these dashes that the Braisa brings is from the lashon bad. So in fact, I understand bad has to be of linen, because that the Tana is teaching us. And but boots, that puts in midachin elay, that it has to be only linen is going to be kosher for big dekuna, any other thing won't. Ela bache chadashim, bad that it has to be new, and in and shchakin lay and old not. Tanya, in fact, we learned in the Braisa Befedish mishchakin gshedim that if it's old, it's good. So Rabbi Yisrael answer back. The time, according to your shita, that all the drashes are learned out from lashon bad, bachei chuton kafel shisha, that the bad that has to, each string has to be woven from 6 threads. Is bad is mashma lavad, means alone. Adrabah chad l'chudei mashma. The mashmois, the pashto mashmois is that each one of the shisha chutim should be alone. Meaning each thread has to be separate. Only this is the kavanah of the Braisa. That it has to be of linen and it must be new. Shezudin, and it has to be of twisted thread. That the thread has to be 6-fold. However, these requirements are not all of the same nature. Yesh mahem mitzvah. Some of them are mitzvah, meaning, but it's non-essential. It's non-essential. It's lechatchila, but the evidence it's not going to be ma'akiv. And yesh mahem la'akiv. Then there are those that are going to be ma'akiv, even with the evidence going to be puzzled. And the Gemara wants to say, meaning that the din that we're going to have to be of linen, we learn out from the mashmais of the word bad. We know because the Torah uses the lashon bad, and it uses also the lashon of sheish mashzar. It uses the lashon of pishtan for bad also. And this that it's ma'akib b'di'evet and it has to be 6. We learn it out from that it says vayas kasnei sheish. So sheish, which is linen, which is also the lashon bad, he uses in the pasuk. So you know sheish and bad are the same thing. It's linen, and sheish is also the number 6 that it has to be twisted in 6-fold, and it says 3 times sheish. And one of the extra sheishes is coming to tell you that it's going to be ma'akiv even with the evet. In fact, the Gemara, mimai the high bad. How do we know that this word bad is going to mean linen? Maybe bad refers to another material. So Rabbi Chanina said it means something that comes up from the ground singly. Bad is taken flax. Bad is flax. Let's call it linen or flax. So is different in that it grows only one stalk from each flax. In fact, the Yemad Amra say that it means wool, because each fiber of wool grows separately also. Meaning it grows on the animal separately. So the wool splits. The fibers split naturally while it's on the animal. Wool cannot be categorized as separate because it splits into the strands, the 2 half strands grow together from the same opening of the animal. Says Gemara, kisna nami b'patzel. Flax also splits. Says Gemara, ayadei lekusa mipatzel. Flax splits only by hitting it hard, but wool splits naturally. Ravina says mehacha. It says pei pishtim yarishem u'mitnei say pishtim yalmas neim lo yakub yaza. It says that the linen turbans should be on the heads, and the pants shall be on their loins, and they should gather themselves by yaza. So since the Torah is mechayiv that the pants be made from bad, and this pasuk says explicitly that the pants has to be made from linen, so it's clear that bad and linen are the same. Zog the Gemara, I'm late after Rashi Lehavina. This is a pasuk in Yecheskel. So till Yecheskel, how do we know? From where do we know this fact? This marker of that it has to be from linen. That it means linen has to be from linen. It says Gemara, well, time according to your opinion, how do Rav Chizda? This that Rav Chizda had said, this Indian that a Kohen who's orel, uncircumcised, for whatever reason it is, could not do the Aveda. We don't learn that from the Torah. It says, only we learned it out from Divi Yecheskel. It says no zar who's no zar uncircumcised meaning over here, who didn't have a bris, what was you should not come into my mikdash to serve me. So till Yecheskel came, how did we find out? That's only a pasuk in Yecheskel that we learned it out. Only we have to say Talach L'Mesh Sinai. So Yecheskel and Yecheskel came and supported it with a pasuk. Hachanami, so to him, and again to the making of the big Kiuna that has to be from linen. It's Halach L'Mesh Sinai, and Yecheskel came and supported it with a pasuk. Okay, we'll stop.